Hello and welcome back to Scotty Fullstack. Today we're going to do a tutorial with AWS Bedrock Terraform and GitHub Actions. DevOps is changing, and if we're not using AI toolings available to us, then we are going to fall behind, and we're not going to be competitive in the marketplace, and it will be disastrous for careers. If you have not subscribed to this channel, do so now. I'm going to be trying to get out more AI content and helping you stay ahead of the game. So subscribe and like and get this video out to others. So let's go ahead and jump in and start to learn about the AI tooling available to us. Here is a demo of what we will be producing, where when we create a pull request, a GitHub Actions will kick off, send a diff to AWS Bedrock, where it will respond with an analysis of our code and give us security recommendations, performance recommendations, and other various types of recommendations to make our code better, and also help us identify any issues that need to be resolved or things to be considerate about in the future. The environment for today, I have Terraform installed on my machine. I have AWS credentials configured. I have a GitHub pat token that is an environment variable on my machine, so I will not be putting that in my Terraform code. I am using VS Code with Copilot, and right now my model is GPT-4.1, but I'm going to be honest with you, I've seen a lot of inconsistency with all of the models, and just a warning, it may not come out the same way, and you may have to do a little bit of configuring for this on your own. With that said, you can use any LLM you want to help you write code better. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can even copy and paste in if you think that that's easier for you. To start off, we're going to make our GitHub repository. So I'm going to start off by making a directory called GitHub. And with GitHub, I'm going to go over to my Copilot, and I'm going to ask it to make a main TF file with the GitHub provider and make a repository resource. So make a main.tf file with GitHub provider. Include a basic GitHub repository resource. Spelled that wrong, but beauty about chatbots. Okay, main TF, we have GitHub integrations, GitHub 5.0.0, that's fine. We have a provider set, and then we have just a basic repository here, and you could make this a variable, but I'm just going to go ahead and type the name in for my use case. So AI, AWS, Bedrock, Terraform, whatever, tutorial, you can name it whatever you want, whatever you think is valuable for your project directory. We're going to keep that, save it. Let's go ahead and do a Terraform init. Installing GitHub, okay. And Terraform apply -- auto approve. Cool. I'm going to jump over back to my GitHub. Here is our directory, or our repo. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the init, and we'll back up here in the root and that in. Push it up. We should have a README file here now, and we do. Okay, and we're on main. That's important to note. All right, so now we're outside of GitHub. Now let's go ahead and make the directories for our project code. So make dir infra and scripts for now. And then let's go ahead and ask it to, inside of infra, create a main.tf file in infra that has AWS 5.0 and above, Terraform 1.6.0 and above. Then add a providers.tf and create a providers.tf file, because that's where I want that information to go specifically. And then add a, let's just say for now, a blank main.tf and a variables.tf with region US East 1. That was a little bit of a mouthful, but you can see what I did there, and we're about to definitely see that. So I have a main TF that is blank as I requested. Providers, this looks good, 160, and then HashiCorp AWS 5.0, and we have, we're declaring the AWS provider, which has a variable for region. Let's keep that. And then our variables, we have region, and that is default US East 1. You can override that. You can change the default value, whatever you want to do, whatever region you're working with. Let's go ahead and save that. And I'll go ahead and do a Terraform init just to, infra, Terraform init, just to install those providers. And while it's doing that, let's add a git ignore to the project, because we don't want to commit the Terraform binaries and that folder, anything sensitive. And there it is. Let's go ahead and keep. It's just a basic one. Looks pretty good. Still installing my providers. All right. Now what we're going to do is we can close that out. That can keep for now. Inside, that's our GitHub. Let's go to our main TF in infra, and let's start to generate what we need here. So for this Terraform, I want to get in the habit, even though we're not going to really use it in this tutorial, I want to create a remote state backend for the Terraform, and we are going to use S3 for that, and then we're going to have a DynamoDB table for state locking. So let's add those resources with Copilot now. Create an S3 bucket resource, an encryption resource, AES 256, and then we want versioning resource, and for this we want enabled, and then we need a public access block, which should all be default values pretty much for them. It's pretty standard for the most part, and then DynamoDB lock table. And let's just start there. There's going to be a few more things we work with GitHub for OIDC that we're going to add here as well, but let's check this first so we don't get overwhelmed. We have a resource, a bucket named, it's a pretty standard bucket. And then the encryption looks good. It's an encryption resource. We have the versioning enabled there. We have our public access block, which is all pretty much default values, and it references the resources above it. And then we have our DynamoDB table with the lock ID, and it's just called Terraform locks, which is standard, which is pretty neat that this did that. So let's go ahead and keep that and save it. And then let's go ahead and now ask Copilot to make our GitHub OIDC setup. So for this one, again, I actually didn't say this. I'm going to add these prompts to the description, and you can play around with them as you want. I am working off of a file because I already created this tutorial before. So that's kind of what I'm referencing to go through these quickly and reliably as best I can. So take note of that. You can follow along while I type, or you can copy and paste whatever you want to do. So create an AWS IAM OpenID connect provider for GitHub Actions using token.actions.github usercontent.com. Audience should be STS sts.amazon.aws.com, and then create IAM role that can be assumed via STS assume role with web identity. Okay, and then restricts access to repo owner /repo star. And then this is important, allows Bedrock invoke model and allows logs : create log group and logs : create and logs create log stream. Try that. Enter. Okay, now it's added this to the top, which is not a problem. Just again, inconsistent, like I'd said, not what I'm used to. Okay, that connect provider looks good. We have the role, string like owner repo. I'm going to hard code myself into here, and you can do the same. Let me grab the name of my repo. Or you can have that a variable as well, however you want to handle that. Good practice. Okay, so that's good. And then our policy, invoke model for Bedrock, and then create log group, create log stream, looks good. And then attaching with the policy ARN. Let's keep it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a Terraform. Or let's do a plan first. Terraform plan. See what it comes up with. All right. Plan 9 to add. Yep. Okay, that's normal. Let's do Terraform fly. All right, that'll kick off. Okay, for the next step, while that's doing that, we're going to create the GitHub workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it, create a GitHub actions workflow. And we can say that runs on pull_request, uses AWS actions /configure AWS credentials, and then assumes a role using OIDC, extracts the PR diff. We may need to add a step here for check out the we'll just say checkout, just the repo. We'll see what it does. I'm curious if that'll pick it up from just that. Extracts the PR diff, runs a Python script that interacts with AWS Bedrock in scripts, and then as permissions, ID-token write, contents read, and then pull-requests write, so that it can write to the pull request. And let's see what that gives us in the workflow. All right, so we have a hidden GitHub workflows now. And then here's our AI PR review YAML. And yep, correct. Ubuntu steps, checkout code, actions checkout. I think that's actually all we need. We may need to see more, maybe give it a depth. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Extract diff. Okay. And then the credentials. We're going to need a variable for role ARN, US East 1, and then run the Bedrock script. This looks good. I'm hopeful. That ARN will probably can grab from here. If not, is this the role? Yep, this is the role, and that's the ARN. You could also grab this from the console if you need. just going to IAM roles and searching for your role name. Let's grab that. What we can do right away, actually, is over at actions. Well, I think I need to actually, or maybe settings. Let's do settings. And then do secrets and variables, actions, new secret, and then AWS underscore, what was it? Role ARN. Okay, and I will add that. Okay, that's done. So we don't forget that. That's a good step. And save it. Okay. Now, last step is the Python script, which is going to be tricky given that these models aren't always super reliable, especially with versioning things. And I'm also going to be cautious how I handle this with the actual model for Bedrock, because I've had a lot of bad luck with Bedrock models with these chatbots. So I don't think AI is replacing us super quickly, but quick enough. So let's see what I can do. I'll be kind of broad and generic here, and might have to configure some things. All right. The requirements for the Python file. Write the Python file that reads a diff, because that's what we're doing, calls AWS Bedrock using Bodo 3 invoke model, uses a structured DevOps review prompt, posts the result as a GitHub PR comment, and then limits input to 40K chars. I want to also say use a Bedrock affordable. Well, affordable is going to give us cheap, but affordable model that works. And this is for me. You may be different with US East 1 and in 2026. I'm curious to see if this is going to work. I'm hoping that it does, because this is going to be a headache if not. Enter. I'm also wondering about formatting. Let's check our script. All right, Anthropic Claude. And I need those variables. Okay, so first of all, let's just say make sure the PR comment is formatted. We'll start there. And I want to say I see these variables here. Like some of these are standard to GitHub Actions. However, nothing is being passed in. So I think what we need to do is actually put a comma here. Add a requirements.text, and which I spelled incorrectly, but again, I think the chatbot's going to be cool here. And then finally add the variables to be passed via the YAML. Super hopeful here that I don't have to do too much manual. Okay, we have requirements.text. Beautiful. And now we have in our YAML, you can see here, we're setting an env on the Python script. We're passing, which again, GitHub Actions comes standard with a lot of these, right? So it's pulling, you see your GitHub event pull request number, GitHub token, which is automatic secret, and then GitHub repository, which is automatic as well. And then here we go, we're going to install the requirements, and looks happy. And then it updated this be better, I think. And then here, the formatted body Hope it works. All right. Save it. Scripts. I'm I'm really hopeful that Claude works because this is going to be a headache if not. Let's go back a directory actually. Git add everything. Git commit -m project commit, I guess. Git push origin main. And super thrilled to see all of that pop up. So we should have our action here. Yep, and we do. Now let's go ahead and test this beautiful thing. Okay, git checkout -b test 1, because I have a suspicion I'm going to be making multiple branches here. And let's add something to like the README. Test 1, 2, 3. Git add git commit -m super descriptive commit git push origin test 1. Now let's head back. Create a pull request. A little delayed, don't merge it. Give it a sec. There's our action. Check it. Fingers crossed. And no merge base. I think this is with the checkout piece. I was hopeful that we'd circumvent that. Okay, so I found the issue. What we need to do is remove this line from extract PR diff. That's the top line. Keep the second line exactly the same. And then we need to add here, let's do a width : fetch depth 0. I'm going to save that. And you can check that in to both branches, push it up on your own. You can pause the video and do that. I've already done it because I just wanted to make sure that it worked. And it did. It got me past that point. The other thing that I had to do was check my AWS role ARN. And so I had to recreate that secret because I had placed the wrong value. So just verify that in your policy, your roles, and then the GitHub Actions Bedrock role we created. Copy your ARN and paste it in there. Now, the next issue is what I suspected was going to happen with these bots, or with this Copilot model specifically, is that I'm getting, it was written for that Claude AWS Bedrock model that is at its end of life. So this is where it's going to get tricky and I think complicated, where we may have to do it manually, and I'd prefer not to at this point just for speed and time. But let's go ahead and hop on over to Bedrock. And I'm going to look up the model catalog and try to find something that can work with what we're doing. So I'm going to go to model catalog. And I want, for sure, text and text. Now, it's already using Claude. What specifically are we using though? Model ID Anthropic Claude v2. All right, so I found the issue. However, I've run into a few other things that I don't think are going to work well for this channel using this one. Now, I will say this, I think you can get this configured if you wanted to go down that route. The Claude model is going to require a few extra steps for you to actually access in the marketplace and to be able to call and use from GitHub Actions. So I'm going to redirect here really quick, and I'm going to go ahead and use the Nova 2 Lite model ID. So I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to say rewrite this to use the model ID for Nova 2 Lite. and make it work for US East 1 and 2026, I guess. See if that gives us an updated version. All right. So here, quite a few changes because it's just a different way of doing it. So I'm going to save, and I'm going to add that. All right, so as I've stated before, like these models are kind of inconsistent with the chatbot, so I had to do a little bit of research here. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is just kind of manually manipulate this. But I have a feeling that if we used a better model, it would probably fix it. However, I think maybe it's just good just to kind of get through this particular section of this, and this is probably what you have to do in real life as well if you were troubleshooting this issue. So we have invoke Bedrock. Everything here looks to be okay, except for like the response is fine, and then the result should be fine. Or just spitting out the result should be fine. I think this body is the only field that we need to update to get this to work correctly. I hope. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna erase that inside of that, and we're going to do. I see it's already trying to do the wrong thing, just inputting. So messages, and then list, and then we have role user. So this is actually, it's probably not a bad thing just to auto complete that. I'm gonna do, well, it was about to. I'm gonna do user, and then content would be. I think we already have it. Do we have a? We have a. Yeah, so that would be the prompt, I believe, but that already. Yeah. Okay, review the following. I think that's okay. I suspect, yeah, okay, so we're returning that. Yeah, input is prompt. So I think we can just leave it as prompt. So role user content, this can just be the variable prompt. I think we're passing that in when we invoke it. So content will be, to make this more specific, put that in there. And this needs to be text colon prompt. Okay, looks like it's registering correctly now. Now, under messages, I need interface. Interface? No. I need inference config. Whoops. And then here we can probably keep that. I'm going to remove top, and we will do a temperature of like 0.2 and 1024. We're going to replace this field here with this. I'm gonna try this out now. Git add, git commit, git push. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the same thing. I've got a feeling. Says it completed. Let's check. So if I go back to my pull request. Oh, look at all those commits. Okay. But the format is not what we want. Let's try to make this one easy. Git checkout main. All right, so ran into just a few more issues, but I wanted to kind of quickly improve upon them and show you what I'm doing here. So I'm in the bedrock review.py. What I want to do in my prompt, I just want to add on here to generate the result with human-readable report. All right. And then here in the invoke bedrock block, I want to alter this return because this is returning JSON. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace this with data equals JSON.loads, and then response. It looks like it's auto completing for response body read, which is correct. Then we want to return. That was correct. Data. And then I'm gonna say, I think it's output would be it. 0. That would, let's remove that. Okay, output, message, content, 0, text. Hope I'm on main. Okay, let's save that. -m fix. Okay, and then what I want to do is copy this. And I already checked out a new branch called test2. So I would recommend you do that. I already have it, like I said, so I'm just going to, because I was trying a few things, I want to just go ahead and paste that code in there, which you may not have to because you're checking out. And then I'm going to add, commit, and push test2. And we'll see now if we do a new pull request. Error test2. Create. Okay. And we should get a file or a comment. Okay, and as you can see here, significantly better. So it kind of gives us an overview, summary of the changes, best practices, areas for improvement. It says no context, value, or purpose when I added that to the README. This is great. One last thing before we conclude this video. What I want to do now is go back to the infra, and then in the main TF file, I want to add an EC2 that let's just say a basic EC2 that is open to the entire internet with no added security. Sounds like a crazy prompt, but let's do it. And no security group specified. Default allows all traffic. Okay. I'm assuming that AMI is going to work. I hope it does. Let's All right, let's just, we don't even have to do Terraform create. Let's just do the add, right? So git add git commit m ec2 that I think is secure. Okay, git push origin s2. And let's let that run one more time here. There it goes, kicking off. All right. So let's see, review of the provided code changes, infra-main TF, focusing on best practices. A new EC2 instance resource was added with minimal configuration, no security group, hard-coded AMI, and open to the internet posture. So it gives us obviously the README is still there, unclear purpose, wants that altered, and then delete the line, right, meaningful comment, and then B, infra-main TF, security and best practice concerns. So it's given us an idea about the security risk open to the internet, hard-coded AMIs, and then policy attached, no tags, no user data. So then it gives us considerations about CI/CD and adding that into our GitHub Actions for our Terraform, and we could automate that. Maybe that'll be a future video. And then, of course, remote state is there as well. So thanks for joining me. This was a painful one when it came to fixing what the Copilot was doing. But I do think that this is the future. I think we need to get better at this. And it's also clear to me that we are not going to be replaced anytime soon. But we can speed up the process in which we work. I got this done in like an hour or so. So thanks for joining me. If you haven't subscribed, do so. And appreciate you being here. Have a great rest of your week.